Grandpa raised his glass and smiled, the kind of smile that carried years of sacrifice. "I'm glad you're enjoying the apartment I bought you," he said proudly. The fork froze in my father's hand. My mother's laugh died halfway. I leaned in, my voice calm, almost gentle. "I live in a basement." The room cracked. Silence swallowed the table. And in that silence, truth surfaced, rotted, ugly, undeniable. I didn't plan to ruin Brunch, but betrayals have a way of rotting through even the most carefully staged lies. Let me start where it began. When I was younger, I thought my father was a man of principle, a provider. He spoke of loyalty, of family first. He looked me in the eye when I told him my dreams, promised he'd always have my back. I believed him. That was my first mistake. The second was trusting silence. The cracks started small. My scholarship funds misplaced. The savings account Grandma left me tied up in paperwork. I didn't argue. I worked double shifts, scraped through nights eating ramen, convinced myself he was just disorganized. But then, a message slipped through. A realtor congratulating me on the beautiful apartment downtown. My name was on the deed. My grandfather's money had bought it. Yet I'd never stepped foot inside. That's when the truth sharpened. My father had taken what was mine, moved his mistress in, painted walls I never touched. While I dragged myself home to a damp basement, he toasted his double life on marble countertops bought in my name. I didn't rage, not outwardly. Rage is sloppy. Rage gets noticed. Instead, I smiled. I collected receipts. Quietly, patiently. Every lie he told me, I wrote down. Every bank transfer, I copied. I traced his steps like a hunter following blood in the snow. When my friends asked why I looked tired, I said exams. When my mother asked why I avoided dinners, I said deadlines. Inside, I was sharpening my knife. My father always underestimated me. That was his third mistake. I started small. I froze the accounts he thought were his. Not with violence, but with paperwork, calls, signatures, my signatures. After all, they were under my name. I told the landlord of the apartment who really paid the bills. He demanded proof of residency. The mistress had none. She was gone within the week. I moved slower than he expected. That was deliberate. I wanted him to feel it unravel one thread at a time, like pulling a sweater apart stitch by stitch. Which brings us to Brunch. He wanted to show off. My birthday was perfect. The whole family, Grandpa glowing with pride, his son sitting smugly at the head of the table. And then Grandpa's toast. The apartment, his gift, his investment in me. I whispered my line like a confession in church. I live in a basement. The words detonated. My father dropped his fork. His jaw locked. He tried to laugh it off. "Ah, kids exaggerate. She's being dramatic." But my mother's eyes cut sharp. My grandfather's smile fell like glass shattering. And me? I just reached into my bag, pulled out the folder I'd been carrying for weeks. Deeds, bank statements, eviction notices, pictures of the mistress sipping wine on my balcony. I laid them on the table, one by one, like cards in a poker game. Dramatic? I asked. My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Or stolen? The silence turned heavy. My mother's hand trembled. Grandfather's face burned with shame. Not at me, but at the son he had raised. My father tried to speak, but I cut him off with the one truth he couldn't twist. You didn't just steal from me. You stole from him. I nodded at Grandpa. Every nail in that apartment, every brick was bought with his years. And you sold it for a secret life in my name. His face drained. He looked at Grandpa, searching for mercy. None came. The fallout wasn't loud. It was worse. Grandpa ordered him out of the house. My mother followed, tears slipping but jaw set. My uncle sat stiff, unable to look him in the eye. I sat there, steady, my birthday cake untouched, the candles flickering in smoke. He left that day without finishing his meal, without finishing his family. People think revenge tastes sweet. They're wrong. It tastes clean, like air after a storm. I didn't celebrate. I didn't shout. I simply reclaimed what was mine. Now, the apartment is mine in truth, not just on paper. I don't live in the basement anymore. I walk floors he thought belonged to him. I cook in a kitchen where his mistress once stood. And when I look out the window, I don't see glass or sky. I see freedom. He hasn't spoken to me since. He can't. Not after the humiliation, the exposure, the truth laid bare. But sometimes I imagine him sitting in some cheap motel room, staring at a cracked ceiling, remembering that brunch, remembering my whisper. I live in a basement. The line that broke him. The line that rebuilt me.